Last night I was on a live stream with the Bitter Truth Show, and it was a few other people on the panel. Shout out to BTS for allowing me to be on their live stream. It was a very, very good discussion. And I had got a notification from Nicole over at Nicole's View. Shout out to Nicole, and it was saying somehow in summary in the title that NewsOne was canceled, and I was like, oh, okay. And while I was still on the live stream, because I couldn't make a video then, because I didn't just hop off and then make a video and then hop back on. I went to Google and typed in Roland Martin's name in the search bar, and sure enough, the articles that came up at the top of the page were saying how NewsOne was canceled, and I was like, okay, this is very interesting, but it's also not surprising either. Let me take y'all back to last year. Last year, around October time, when the movie Birth of a Nation came out, and in the midst of all the scandal and things and controversy that came out around about Nate Parker and whatnot, he had a guest on his show, one of the actresses by the name of Anjanae Ellis, who played in the movie. She played Nat Turner's mother on the panel. She had her on the show to discuss the movie. And then he had that witch ass Amber Phillips, who I could not stand, on that show as well, on that episode as well, who pretty much douses herself as a quote unquote black feminist, or should I say feminut case, and basically had all this shit to say about the movie, and she pretty much downed it and said it was a rape scene in there, even though there really wasn't. They insinuated that a rape happened, but they didn't actually show the rape scenes happen and occur. They actually insinuated it 3 times. The first time was with Nat Turner's wife. The second time was with Gabrielle Union's character. And the third time was with this little girl. They didn't show the actual act of a rape actually occurring. You just knew, and you used your imagination and put it together. That was actually the first time I saw in a slave narrative where they actually insinuated a rape scene happening with Massa and a young slave girl. I've never seen that in another movie. Usually it's always a slave woman. One who was pretty much grown or appeared to be grown. But in this one, he actually insinuated that this happened to a little girl who definitely you can clearly tell that she wasn't developed yet. Think of Thomas Jefferson and Sally Hemings. But anyway, Amber Phillips never watched the movie. She was asked to see the movie. Anjanae Ellis pretty much asked her, how would you know? That was an episode where Roland was supposed to discuss other topics. But that debate got so heated that they literally had to put all the other topics on the back burner. And they literally dedicated the entire hour and then some to them to pretty much going back and forth. And Roland really did not have any kind of control over that particular dispute, that particular argument. And it was just a mess. It really was. They even had to actually, the next day when the next episode came on, they didn't even talk about, whatever topics was supposed to be discussed. They ended up just showing what we didn't see off camera when the camera stopped rolling. So it was basically like a part 2 to part 1, which for the previous day. That's basically what we saw. It was one big mess, and I wouldn't be surprised if Anjanae Ellis did not come back onto the show at that time, or at least if she did come back on when Amber Phillips was not there. Amber Phillips was a huge, huge part of one of the reasons why I stopped watching NewsOne. Or at least to the point where I was shifting myself out of it. Or if I knew she was going to be on there, I wouldn't watch. And there were even some episodes when Roland Martin wouldn't be there, like he might have been doing an assignment or another journalist thing outside of the studio, and sometimes she would be the one in his chair, and I was like, I can't watch her. She gets on my nerves. And then fast forward to this year, when Dr. Umar Johnson was on his show a few months ago. That, I think, was the straw that broke the camel's back, where there was a lot of people who were completely turned off with how his panel jumped onto Umar, Dr. Umar Johnson. and what he said, and like, what he was trying to discuss and everything like that. It's like, so you want to have control of your panel, then, or not have so much control of them, and pretty much join in the verbal jumping, because that's basically what it was, like a verbal gangbang of this man. But you couldn't get no control of Amber Phillips when she was spouting all that bullshit the year before. Or better yet, when you had Richard Spencer on a couple months before, you had Dr. Umar Johnson on there, and didn't really, and Richard Spencer pretty much had control of the entire conversation. And you had him on there one-on-one. Where was your panel? But you bought your panel for Umar Johnson. That's why I said it looked like a verbal gangbang, like they was like he was about to get jumped, like it was 1 versus like 5. Roland included. When NewsOne first came on, a lot of people were excited about that, especially because this was coming after Roland had got fired from CNN for the comments he made about that underwear ad for the Super Bowl, and people was trying to say that he was homophobic and this, that, and the third, which was definitely not the case. And the black people had his back about it and were mad because he got fired from CNN. Don Lemon and Roland Martin, I believe, at that time, at that time, were the only 2 black men that were on CNN at the time. I think now, as far as a headline show, Don Lemon is the only one who has his own show over there. For now. I say for now because he's been tap dancing on thin ice lately. Literally. But this doesn't surprise me, nor does it shock me. I mean, I don't know what Roland Martin is going to do now. Who knows? This may be what Roland Martin wanted. He probably wanted out of his contract for all we know. But the 2 instances that I mentioned, well, 3 if you include Richard Spencer, and probably some others, but those 3 right there, especially with the Amber Phillips and the Umar Johnson, that turned a lot of people away. Because not because of the people that you have on your show, it's because you did not have control of your panel on your show. You, as the host, should be the moderator. As a moderator, when things get out of hand, you are the one to calm things down. And there were plenty of times when you could have done that, but unfortunately, you did not. You just allowed things to keep going on and on and on like the goddamn Energizer Bunny. And I think another thing is some people are just like tired of the show altogether. I should have known something was up when a couple months ago they announced that they were adding on an extra hour to NewsOne. Because remember, NewsOne used to only be 1 hour. It used to come on from 8 to 9. Then they bumped it. They moved it out of its slot and they moved it from 7 to 8. And then they gave them an extra hour from 7 to 9. So when they start doing that and shifting around a lot, that's usually because of ratings. If y'all know anything about the history of television, when they start moving shows in their time slots around from their original ones to see where the time is or see where the time is best suitable for viewers, then that's a sign that the show is not going to last very long after that. And see, they moved it, they had it at a perfect time, 8 to 9, where people could see it, but then they moved it to 7 and 8, and I think they did that for that early morning crowd that might not see the 8 to 9, and then they said, okay, maybe that's too early, let's incorporate both hours, our old and new, into one. So they said 7 and 9, and then maybe we'll get the early morning and a little bit of the mid-morning crowd. But as you can see, that didn't work. They ended up canceling the show. Really, I don't know the exact reason as to why they canceled it, but I have a feeling that it's a combination of the things that I've mentioned in this video. But something tells me he'll find another job somewhere because his name is pretty much out there. I doubt he'll be back in CNN. I'm going to be completely honest with that. It'll be surprising if he does, but I doubt he'll be back in CNN. Trying to think if there's anything else that I need to mention, but if there isn't, I'm very sure some of y'all down in the comments will tell me if there's anything else that comes to mind when it involves this situation right here. But it is what it is.